Happy 2017, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about gaming peripherals, specifically PC gaming peripherals, aka the only gaming peripherals that matter. Alright, 10 seconds in. Today's peripheral is a mouse, and it's not just any mouse, it's a gaming mouse, and it's not just any gaming mouse, it's a programmable gaming mouse by our friends over at 1byone who make very economically friendly things in the tech space. So, I mean, there's no exception here. I mean, this thing is available for $16 on Amazon, and I think it packs quite a punch. Now, there is a slew of gaming mice on Amazon that retail for around $15 to $20. They look really gaudy, you know, they have a lot of flashing lights and whatnot, but at the end of the day, they're just made of cheap plastic, and, you know, they're just... It's an oversaturated market, really. If you Google gaming mouse on Amazon, you're bound to find dozens and dozens of hunks of plastic that many different cheap unknown companies have claimed and are now selling for like 15, 20 bucks a piece. So is this one of those? Is this just one of many? In a sense, yes, but I think it's pretty good for what you get. Now, granted, I do not have a lot of experience with cheap gaming mice. This is the mouse that I use. This is the Logitech G602. I got this when it was $60. Now it's on sale for $40. So I'm going to be comparing this mouse, the $15 one, or $16, whatever, to this one, which retails for $40. Alright, so in the box you get a CD that has a driver/program that allows you to program the buttons on this mouse. And I'll show you that in a bit. I've already installed it. And then you have just a handbook thing. And we can also toss that aside. We'll read the box because that might be indicative of this product's worth. I mean, they've probably spent some time on this, so we'll look at it. Alright, there's the top of the back, and there's the bottom of the back. Its features include a long button lifetime, 5 adjustable DPI, so 1000, 1750, 2500, 3500, 4000. So it has a DPI of up to 4000. And I believe my G602, which is a more expensive mouse, only goes up to 2500 DPI. It's an arms race at this point. Like, a higher DPI attracts a minority of players, and comparing a mouse's DPI to another mouse's DPI is just like comparing phone cameras based on their megapixel count. So I wouldn't, you know, ride my opinion based on the DPI. It includes programmable driver, you know, that little tiny CD thing, and then a 1.6 meter cable. So we'll take a look at the cable. Let's toss this aside. So here's the mouse. It feels a bit hollow, of course, you know, price point. Compared to my G602, the wheel holds up quite well. It's not as smooth as the wheel on the G602 is, but, you know, that is to be expected, especially given the price point. You can adjust the DPI just by clicking this DPI button. It has a dedicated DPI button, so. And then you have two buttons here that you can program to do whatever you want. Okay, there's my G602. So let me just wrap my hand around my beloved, trusty steed. Yeah, I mean, this is the most comfortable mouse I've ever used. I've used several mice, and the G602 is the most comfortable mouse I've used, point blank. So with that in mind, the 1byone programmable gaming mouse doesn't really compare. Now, the length of the 1byone mouse is really good. I mean, it's virtually perfect for my hand length, but it's insufficient for my hand width. Now, I don't even have wide hands. Granted, they're not skinny by any stretch, but the 1byone mouse is, for some reason, awkwardly skinny, to the point where I'm like cramping, like I'm like, you know, compressing my hand width to like accommodate for the mouse, and it's not comfortable. Over the past like few months, I've gotten used to it, but then again, I don't use this mouse that often because I have this. Spoiler alert, this mouse isn't as good as the G602 is. So yeah, if you want, of course, that's to be expected. Now, another difference between the G602 and the 1byone mouse. The 1byone mouse is wired. It is not wireless. Now, I don't like that much. I prefer wireless peripherals because the difference in input is extremely negligible, to the point where I don't notice the difference. Of course, I'm a layman, and I'm not a competitive gamer, but I don't see a point in having a wired mouse because it's just cumbersome. I'd rather remove the cumber. Cumber. You get what I'm saying. So there's that. I would consider it to be a drawback, but if you're in the market for a mouse and you only have $16 or $16 plus tax, then you're only really going to find wired gaming mice. But fortunately, the cable is like pretty thick. I believe it's made out of nylon, and it feels sturdy. I don't see this breaking. It's very tough. I mean, no complaints really. This might be a minuscule point of concern, but I could see this maybe getting separated from the point at which the wire connects with the body of the mouse, but that would require some like intentional tugging, so you should be fine there. The G602 has 6 programmable gaming buttons on the side, as opposed to 2 explicitly programmable. You could program the mouse clicks and the scroll wheel and the DPI button and stuff for a total of 8 probably, as I believe it said. But those aren't, legitimate customizable buttons. The ones on the sides that serve no purpose are what I'd consider to be customizable. So the G602 trumps the 1x1 mouse in terms of that. It's workable, but it isn't wide enough to be comfortable for me. So based on that alone, I don't use it that much. I really don't use it that much. I've had this for several months, and I've only found myself coming to it. The only time I used it was when I didn't have any AA batteries to put in this, so I spent a few hours using this until I actually went to the store to get AA batteries so I could use my G602 again. So if I were to get this for $15 and this for $40, I'd get the G602. I would save my money. Or if I had the money, I would spend the extra $25, especially now that this is $40. If it was still $60, $70 like it was a year ago, then yeah, it'd be a tougher call. But now that this is only $25 more, I mean, if it's something you use every day, I think it warrants the $25 extra. But regardless, we'll continue and we'll play a game or something, and then I'll tell you in real time what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling about the ergonomics of the mouse and the tracking, etc., etc. But I have to address a couple of things first. The second most important thing in a mouse for me is glidability. I have just a SteelSeries gaming pad, nothing fancy. But how smoothly it slides on the pad is pretty quintessential. I mean, especially if you're gaming or just generally, it's nice to feel like it's gliding on the surface rather than being stuck to it. So we'll test that out right now. I mean, and I'll give you a comparison. This one first. Okay, let's pick the cable up so that doesn't affect it. Alright, not bad. And then now the G602. Yeah, G602 is smoother. I mean, I think the bottom of this rubs up again. Yeah, like the corners, the way this mouse is built makes it less glidable. Simply because of the sharp corners. It tends to like catch on the mouse pad, rendering it not as manageable as the G602 is. So let me do that again. Yeah, just so I can. Yeah, just the way that this. Yeah. And then this sort of rubs on it a bit too. This is like angled. Let's see if I can. Right, this part of the mouse can sort of rub against this in a fashion that makes you feel the friction, which isn't quite something you want to experience, especially when you're in the zone. Ugh, kill me. All right, now we're going to take a look at the program that is on my computer that allows me to adjust the settings for this thing. All right, fiddling with the shutter speed. What's better, 1/100 or 160? It's between those two. I mean, those are lines rather than like this. I think 1/100 is better. Then there's that. Then there's that. Yeah, I guess this is better. What do you think is better, this or this? Yeah, I think it's because these are more noticeable, but at least they're more centralized. Sure. All right. So, all right. I will say, okay, the 1x1 mouse has a pinky rest, and the G602 does not. So that's something that the 1x1 mouse has, but still, it's less comfortable than the G602s. The G602 is any day of the week, simply due to the way it's made. I mean, the 1x1 mouse is skinny, and it's uncomfortably skinny. You can adapt. Anyone adapts to things, but it takes a while to get used to, and you're still scrunching up your hand to accommodate for it. So it's still not ideal, even if you manage to get used to it. All right, so what are we gonna play? Oh, right, no, not yet. I'm getting too ahead of myself. I have to show you the. Okay, here we go. Setting thing. No monitor. Option. There we go. Option.exe. There it is. Can I make it larger? Nope. No, you can still see from there. Full screen. Yeah, you can just customize. You can actually set up a light. So the thing about these mice, as I've mentioned, is that they're pretty tacky with the colors and such. I mean, Razer does the same thing, and companies like that, Corsair, but it's cheap, so it's going to look cheaper than a premium gaming mouse with those colors. Since it's now connected to my computer, I'll show you. Wait, no, I've got to. All right, here we go. There we go. Let's turn it on. It's a new year, so now my standards for video creation have gone out the window. All right, down maybe? There we go. There we go. It's pink. Might not look like that based on maybe the white balance is off probably, but it's pink, and I have it so that it's pulsating, and I think it looks pretty cool. Here it affects that too. So it's kind of subtle. I mean, a 1x1 logo isn't the most appealing thing in the world. Not bad for $15, and it's not overly gaudy. Of course, I don't have experience with the dozens of $15 gaming mice on Amazon, but as far as this one is concerned, my main gripe with it is that it's too skinny. If it weren't for that, it would be the perfect mouse, and I'd recommend it to anybody because there's really nothing else wrong with it other than the fact that it's wired too. But at least if it's wired, you don't have to worry about batteries, and it's more accurate and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, if you have skinny hands, you'll probably be able to make it work. You'll be able to make it work anyway, but, you're going to have to scrunch up your hand a bit again. All right, let's play something. So I'm going to turn on my G602 so I can do like a direct comparison. There we go. Now I'm using my G602. Let's go to the Audacity window and try to like move it around and compare how smooth it is. Now the thing about the G602, let me pull this up here. All right, there we go. No, that's not it. My videos have gotten worse. The thing about the G602 is that most of the time you use it in endurance mode to preserve battery life. It's only when you're gaming or doing like video editing where you need a more accurate thing, or that you switch it up and then it goes into performance mode. So when it's on performance mode, it's virtually as accurate as the 1x1 mouse, even though it's wireless. You just suck up more battery. But when it's on endurance mode, which is the mode it's on most of the time, the 1x1 mouse has the upper hand in fluidity on the desktop. You can notice, it's noticeable. So if I have it on endurance mode, I don't know if you'll be able to perceive this on camera, but it's kind of, oh right, I have to focus it back. Ugh. What happened to me? This is probably still going up. All right, there we go. You might not be able to tell, but it's not as fluid as it could be. But I am I'm a few meters away from the receiver, which is right there. Yeah, of course, not drawn to, relative distance. But it's okay. Now, when I flick it onto performance mode, it's smooth as all else. So there we go. Now going to the 1x1 mouse, it is as smooth as performance mode is on the G602, so that's nice. So at least you don't have to settle for endurance mode like you would on the G602. Regardless, I would still spend the extra $25 for comfortability and glideability, both of which the G602 trumps the 1x1 gaming mouse. But if you still refuse to spend the extra money on a better mouse, then yes, I would recommend the 1x1 mouse, but that's contingent upon your content with the skinniness of the mouse, basically. But okay, we'll just play some, to wrap up the video. To wrap up the video, we'll just shoot people in a virtual reality. All right, there we go. Yes. Oh, also the clickiness. I haven't covered that. Clickiness on the 1x1 mouse. Let me pull it up to the microphone. Yeah, it's kind of clicky, and it's a bit cheap. It's a cheap variant of clickiness. G602, it's more padded, and it's more refined. And that is to be expected, of course. It's of higher build quality. It's a different tier of mouse. So that is to be expected. It's a more pleasurable experience clicking on the G602. But for $15, this clickiness isn't half bad, really. It's annoying in terms of volume, but the sensation as far as touch is concerned isn't excessively cheap. So with my G602, I crank the DPI up to max, which is 2500, and then adjust the sensitivity in the game accordingly. I just prefer to be on the highest DPI. I don't know. I don't know why. I guess it's the same reason that you take 16 megapixel images, even though 12 would be perfectly fine. Perhaps, I don't know. That analogy is not up to my standard. I know I'm fairly decent at analogizing things, and that probably wasn't that good. But, you get what I'm saying. So there we go. Oh, back in focus. Ugh. Sorry about that. There we go. Oh, right, I need the keyboard. Again, a bit rough on the mouse pad. But then again, your mileage may vary, because not everyone has a SteelSeries mouse pad. You probably have a better one. Or if not, then you don't. I mean, okay, I'm just wandering around. Alright, let's go to, let's transport, shall we? Number lock. Worlds, nope. Selenius. Or transport. Teleport. Transport. Marlboro Heights. Go. Should I put the volume up? Doesn't really matter, really. Maybe the brightness up a bit too. There we go. Okay. It's doable. Playing with this mouse is doable. It's not pleasurable, but it's okay. Like it's not like it hurts to use it. Like it's good as an input controller, but it doesn't make my experience better. But it doesn't necessarily make it worse either. It's okay. It gets things done. It's a no frills gaming mouse. That's the best way I can put it. It's not the best at anything, but it's not the worst at anything either. And it's only 15 bucks. So if you're really, really, really pressing to only spend 15 bucks on a mouse, or 16 or whatever, then it's probably your best bet. But keep in mind, I haven't played with similarly priced mouses, so I'm probably not the most experienced person to talk about it. I'm only talking about it because 1byone sent it to me, and I am obliged to talk about it. So that's why. But switching over to my G602 now. Let's unplug this. But here's something to keep in mind. My G602 is quite a distance from my computer right now. So it's not as smooth as the 1byone mouse was, because the 1byone mouse doesn't have an issue with interference because it's wired. That's just how it's engineered. But that is something to keep in mind. Wireless isn't all it's cracked up to be. I just prefer it slightly because of its versatility. So all in all, for $15, it's a good peripheral. It doesn't do anything special, and it's a bit too skinny for my liking, but I don't think you can go wrong for that amount of money. Having said that, I do advise you pick up the G602 for $25 more, because in my experience, the G602 is a better mouse overall by a considerable margin. So those are my thoughts concerning the mouse in 20 seconds. But you had to endure a video for 20 minutes. Lucky you. Yeah, I'll leave a link in the description. If I had to rate it out of 10 on a decimal system, for the price, price considered, I'd probably give it an 8.2. It does most things right. The only thing it kind of falters on is ergonomics. But you can adapt to anything because humans, fortunately, are pretty good at doing that. So there we go. You've just been Windows 99. Thanks for watching the video. This video, I feel, was a substantial drop in quality in terms of production and just overall script, even though I never have a script, but I feel like I wasn't as on point this time as I usually am. Well, I guess I can't be perfect all the time. So, yeah, catch you in the next video. It shouldn't be too far off from now. And thanks. Later.